It occurs to me, welcome to Zombie Tactics, by the way. It occurs to me that one of the reasons why in the United States our freedoms seem to be, or our liberties, better put, seem to be under constant attack is that those of us who believe in them the most do very little to defend them or to celebrate them. The reason for that, I think, is because we look at the language of the Constitution, and in the case of something like the First Amendment or the Second Amendment, which is what we're talking about today, the language seems so clear to us that we can't imagine how anyone could interpret it any differently, anyone with any sense in their head anyway, and so it strikes us as just unimaginable that some of the things that go on, the thousands of laws that we have, the thousands of restrictions that we have, it's unimaginable to us that that could have occurred. And in part of the problem is we don't think that we really need to teach our children. We figure, well, that's plain as day. They'll go to school, they'll learn the Constitution, they'll learn the First, the Second, the Third, the Fourth, the Fifth Amendment, they'll learn the whole thing. And we find that they just don't, because it's not taught for political expediency or people getting their fingers on the educational system. So one of the things that we have to do as people who believe in the Constitution and believe in its plain language is we have to take every opportunity we can to teach our children, our friends, our relatives, the people we go to church with, our co-workers. We need to teach them. We need to bring to their mind the greatness of the Constitution and the limitations that it places on government, because that was the point all along, to limit the government, not the people. TDS, a local gun store, has an event going on called Second Amendment Saturday, and I took my daughters to that event as part of the way that I'm teaching them about the Second Amendment and about our Constitution. And just a little video footage for you to enjoy. Maybe I'll come back and say a few choice words after. All right, so we're taking off on a little family adventure, me and a couple of my daughters. I've got the tactical mouse operating the camera, and in the back seat is the armadillo with the stuffed animals. We're going to a Second Amendment celebration event at a local gun store called TDS, which stands for Tactical Defense Survival. So let's go check it out. So I've got a stinking suspicion as we round the bend here that we're going to find out that this place is amazingly busy today. It's usually a busy store, and being that this is a special event, it's probably going to be even crazier. Oh yeah, we got a lot of cars here. This parking lot is pretty dang full.
They have a little light traffic thing on.
Yeah. Oh boy, they're blocking off this area here. This must be the VIP parking. There's the TDS staff. And yeah, it's definitely an event. Look at this. Look at this here. Yep.
Studying constitutional law about 1,500 miles that way. And one of the most interesting things I learned is a lot of theories about the Constitution come and go like hemlines on skirts and styles of jeans. And when one idea is kind of hold and sway, a lot of people saying, oh yeah, that's right. People who hold the other point of view start to get a little discouraged, and they think, well, maybe I was wrong after all. And man, I'm telling you, the right, and I mean correct, well, and the right, almost always comes back and people realize, wow, we got too far away. We're getting all creative and modern and enlightened, and we got way off track. It always comes back to the words. It always comes back to the rights that shall not be infringed upon. The right to bear arms, for instance, the right to free speech. And these theories develop. Well, no. We know better now. We're very modern. We're very high thinking. We know we don't need that anymore. Never get discouraged. You know what's right. Never apologize for what's right. And do not get discouraged, because you got your friends here, and we're not going away either. So let's stick together, and the right thing will happen.
Woo!
You know what I think is interesting is that we're gathered here in an event we're calling Second Amendment Saturday at one of the best gun stores around, and there are a lot of people out there that would consider you dangerous nuts. I mean, that's what they actually believe. They believe you are dangerous nuts, and they get together on a regular basis. So it's a good idea for you to get together also to counterbalance that and put your thoughts forward at the same time. And we assume you've been in the store. If you haven't, definitely spend some time looking around. We've got a great lineup of people to speak today. I know I'm looking forward to hearing what a lot of the people this afternoon are going to say. And the Second Amendment is argued and argued and argued and argued, and laws and laws and laws and laws keep being passed, and there are thousands and thousands of laws out there. In fact, on the drive up here, my wife said, "Are you going to get a gun today?" And I said, "You know, I might." She said, "Oh yeah, you can't. That's right, you can't." And I thought, that's right, I can't. I can't walk in and buy a gun. I'm a grown man with no record, taxpayer, and I can't walk in and buy a gun. How is that freaking possible in the United States of America? So we know where we are on this issue, and I'm glad everybody got together. And as I said at the recent Tea Party gathering in McClellan Parks, sorry if you heard this last time, it's when the pendulum swung all the way out. I mean, it's way out there that everybody who's wishing it would swing that way starts to think, no, I guess it's broken. It's not going to swing back ever again. And a lot of us said, well, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to go down swinging. I don't care if I'm the last guy on earth saying this stuff. I believe it. And right about mid-sentence, the ground shifted, man. And that pendulum started to swing on back. You might have thought it never would, but here it goes. So keep the momentum going. Keep showing up to whatever you choose, be it a Tea Party rally, be it a Second Amendment event like this. Maybe it's just sending emails. Maybe it's just making phone calls. Maybe it's just when you hear something ridiculous being said, saying, with all due respect, I disagree. No matter how unpopular that opinion might be. Do what you can. We'll all do what you can. We'll keep that pendulum moving in the right direction.
Amen.
Now, if you like that sort of thinking, you're definitely going to like our next speaker, who's going to roll up on here in a cowboy hat and the coolest boots I've seen out here today. From the Tea Party, you've probably seen him on all the big cable news channels, Mark Meckler. Mark Meckler, Tea Party Patriots.
A big round of applause for our friends Armstrong and Getty, holding down the fort every day on the radio. You know, guys like this are so important, not just here, but all across the nation, because we're out there, we're driving around in our cars, we're going to and from work, we're taking care of our families, and it's, you know, we can speak to the folks at work, we can get up around the water cooler and express our opinion, and I hope you do. Like they said, when you hear people, especially talking about the right to own a gun and to carry a gun, and people talking about restricting that, I hope you speak up. But when we have people like this that get on the radio every day and are able to talk to millions of people, what they do is they amplify our voices and our opinions. So again, a big round of appreciation for Armstrong and Getty. These guys are never scared to speak. So most of you know me from the Tea Party. I think I know a lot of you personally because I am based here up in the foothills up in Grass Valley. And this is where it all started, at least for me. In February of 2009, my family and I, my father, who's standing right there out front, drove down the hill, 6 of us, my kids, my wife, and my parents, knowing that we'd have a Tea Party right there at the Capitol. We didn't even know what a Tea Party was. We knew that we were fed up with government being involved in our lives. We knew we were fed up with the government telling us what to do, taking away our money, taking away our liberties, and we were going to scream and yell about it, you know, something that conservatives don't normally do. And we went down there and 150 people or so showed up. Probably some of you guys were out there. And really that day, that pendulum that they were talking about began to swing back. And that pendulum is swinging back right now. You guys are seeing it in primaries all across the country. And it is going to have a fundamental effect on our Second Amendment rights. And this is critical in this country. If people talk about the First Amendment being first and how important all those, the Bill of Rights are, and those things are all critically important. To think about this. In a country where the government is a tyranny, what is the First Amendment or any of the other amendments without the Second Amendment? Really, all it is, all it becomes, all those things become are words written on a piece of paper. If we don't have a way as a free people, as an armed people, to be ultimately the last defense against tyranny, then all those things are words on paper. So we're here today to salute and to support the Second Amendment and the wisdom of the people who put that amendment in the Constitution. So a big round of applause for the founding fathers that had the wisdom to protect our right to bear arms. And for me, when I come to a place, I brought my 14-year-old son with me today, and I come to a place like TDS, and I see, yeah, we're restricted. Like these guys said, we can't just pick up a gun today, but thank God we still have the right to bear arms. Thank God there are people like TDS that are willing to go out there to take a risk. This is what makes America great. These are entrepreneurs who made a decision. I mean, you guys look around that store, there's a lot of money in inventory sitting in there. These guys have taken a tremendous risk to do something that in a lot of circles is very unpopular, and they've set up this store to serve us and to serve our Second Amendment rights. I think that's pretty extraordinary. You know, the staff here is extraordinary, so a big round of applause for the folks at TDS for taking care of us. You know, and then I think one of the things that's most important, if you watch the news and you listen to the news and you read the blogs, every now and then you hear about somebody getting killed with a gun. I mean, guns are dangerous. They can kill people. Very rarely do you hear a story about somebody killed with a gun and they tell you, yes, that person was the holder of a CCW and had 60 hours of self-defense training. Those are not the people that are killing people with guns. The people that are killing people with guns are who's killing people with guns? Anybody know? The criminals are killing people with guns. What you guys do, you folks who are like me that are gun enthusiasts, you go out and you're safe. You take the safety courses and you practice and you train. You get more advanced training. That's what gun ownership is about. That's what gun owners do. There's somebody here, I don't know if he's standing outside. Ron Etchels, are you out here, Ron? He's inside. If you guys, oh, there he is back there raising his hand. If you guys want great self-defense training, if you want to get your CCW, talk to Ron Etchels. He's an awesome trainer. He trained me. So a big round of applause for the folks who keep us safe with our weapons. I want to close with this. You guys have the right to buy guns. You guys have the right, if you get the proper training and the proper permits, to carry weapons. There are millions of people in this country, and there are a lot of legislators in every state in this country that would like to, and that are planning to take those rights away from you. It's going on every day, in every legislature, in every legislative body around this country. Every day, they are conspiring to take away your Second Amendment rights. I guarantee you Tea Party patriots are fighting for you to keep those rights. I guarantee you Armstrong and Getty are fighting for you to keep those rights, and the folks at TDS are fighting for you to be able to keep those rights. But the only way that we're going to be able to keep those rights for sure is if each and every one of you commits to openly, publicly supporting the organization, supporting the people with your money, with your words, with your actions, supporting all those things that allow us to keep our Second Amendment rights. Are you guys with me? Thank you very much for being here today. A&G, where are my A&G guys? The other guy with a beautiful pair of boots.
Thank you, Mark Meckler, Tea Party Patriots. How about a hand for him? We appreciate Mark coming out. That's cool. And we are here for Second Amendment Saturday. With this hot sun, I'm going to be happy for the amendment that repealed Prohibition later and enjoy some cold beers, I think. We're going to move on through this program because we have a lot of people with a lot of cool things to say that I think you're going to find very, very interesting. Next up, Dan Logue, Assemblyman, who's going to talk to you a little bit about Second Amendment Saturday. Is he here? Hasn't rolled through yet? Okay. All right, we're still waiting for Dan to arrive, fight his way through the throng. Instead, let's talk to one of the El Dorado County Sheriff's candidates. John DeAgostini is with us. John, I'd like to hear from you.
You know, when I was asked to come here a couple weeks ago, and I was told with some of the folks that I was going to be speaking with, I was extremely humbled, and I told Danny Cartwright, I said, why do you want me to be here? I mean, I'm not the sheriff yet. He said, you know, we've heard a lot about your stance on the Second Amendment, and, you know, we really would like you to get up and say a few words. So, first of all, thank you to TDS Guns. These guys are awesome, and I'm extremely humbled by the invitation and the opportunity to be able to speak to you. A couple days ago, I had a little bit of time, and I figured I got to get something together. So I wrote A short speech. I'm going to try and stick to it, but I might bounce off track, but it's going to be brief, folks. And I'm going to start off with a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Right now, folks, we're at a point in history where we have a chance. We can change the course of history because the direction this country's going in isn't pretty. We have a chance to stand up for our freedoms. We have a chance to stand up for our Constitution and to hold our elected officials accountable to their oaths of office to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's their oath. That's what they stand there and swear. Our forefathers who drafted our Constitution were very wise and studied men. They knew what they were talking about. And they worked this over. And what they came up with what I just read, has three distinct and separate thoughts. The first, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. This is not a right of the state, folks. This is well-established law. This is not a right of the state. This is a right of the people to form a well-regulated militia to secure their free state. They're not talking about the National Guard. That's a governmental institution. It was set up by this specifically, and it was intended to avoid status as the constitutional militia. That's recognized by our Supreme Court. The second part, the right of the people to keep and bear arms. This is the right of an individual citizen, an individual person, to keep, possess, carry firearms. And it's very important that we understand that our framers use the words the right of the people to reflect this individual right, such as was used the right of the people to peaceably assemble, and the right of the people against unreasonable searches and seizures. And the last and third part, which I think is the most important, shall not be infringed. There's no place else in our Bill of Rights that those words are used. They may have, well, if they had typewriters, they would have, or computers, they'd use all caps, or maybe even written it in blood. Shall not be infringed. So folks, the most important thing is right now, we need to get informed. You need to get informed. When you go to the ballot box in November, talk to your local candidates. There's some other candidates here in Sac County that are running for sheriff. Talk to the local candidates for service districts, community service districts, for whatever office they're running for, and ask them what their position is on the Second Amendment and what it means to them. It's going to tell you a lot about that person. It's going to tell you a lot about where they stand on a lot of other issues just by answering that one question. So again, folks, this is a no-brainer. The Second Amendment guarantees the right of the individual to keep and bear firearms with no restrictions. Let's get the right people in office who can start to change the direction of our country and return our constitutional rights to the people where they belong. God bless America. Thank you.
Amen.
Woo! Amen to that. What are you people doing out there in the sun? Didn't you hear the government will take care of you? You want to take care of yourselves?
Yep.
They are a bunch of radicals. I'm kind of interested. How many people here are gun owners currently? How many people are not? Maybe that'd be an easier way to go about it. You're not currently a gun owner. Interesting. That's fine. They got some in there. But this is not a commercial. I'd like to welcome now to the bandstand a good friend of the Armstrong and Getty show through the years. You know, I hope I don't ruffle it. No, I don't care if I ruffle any feathers. I've talked to a number of Republican Party power brokers through the years about this gentleman, and the complaint is always, and it's been for years, he doesn't play along. He's out there on his island with his freedom constitution. shrink the budget stuff. He won't come over and help us. He's just out there where that pendulum hasn't been for a long time, to harken back to what I said before. And he's just kept saying it. He's been consistent. He has been saying what he's about to say today since the day we met him. Please welcome a good friend, Congressman Tom McClintock. Tom?
Thank you. Thank God for Armstrong and Getty. They've not only been the voice of reason in Northern California for many years, they're also a lot of fun to listen to. Yeah. And thank God for all of you being here today. What we're seeing right here, look around, you're seeing all across the country every day in town hall forums, at political rallies, at Tea Party gatherings. We're doing what Americans have always done. When we've sensed our country's in danger, we've set aside our personal lives and we've risen to the occasion ever since the days of the Boston Tea Party. In times of crisis, that's what Americans have done. We don't wait for our leaders to act. We act ourselves and then tell our leaders to lead, follow, or get out of the way. That's how 9 generations of Americans have defended our freedom. It was on a very different day than this, a cold winter's evening, as a matter of fact, in 1838, when a 29-year-old second-term state legislator from New Salem, Illinois, stepped before a meeting being held in Springfield. And that night, young Abraham Lincoln posed this haunting question. He asked, "At what point shall we expect the approach of danger? By what means shall we fortify against it? Shall some transatlantic military giant step across the ocean and crush us at a blow? Never. Never. All the armies of Europe, Asia, and Africa combined, with all the treasure in the world in their military chest, our own excepted, with a Bonaparte as a commander, could not by force take a drink from the Ohio or make a track upon the Blue Ridge in a trial of 1,000 years. So I ask again, at what point shall we expect the approach of danger? I say if it ever reaches us, it must spring up amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and its finisher. As a nation of free men, we are destined to live forever or die by suicide. And I've often wondered how ironic it would be if the freedoms that 9 generations of Americans have fought to defend on far-off battlefields might someday be casually thrown away here at home. When Americans learned that a British column had mowed down a local militia at Lexington and was marching on toward Concord, word spread across the countryside. They didn't need faxes, they didn't need cell phones, and one by one, quite spontaneously, individual shopkeepers and farmers took their muskets off the mantles, they kissed their families goodbye, and they set off to win their freedom. Not because they wanted to, but because they had to. At that moment in time, they had realized that events had become intolerable and could no longer be ignored. Now, of course, George III, tyrant that he was, never tried to take away their firearms. That is a new phenomenon, and of course, that's what brings us all here today. But fortunately, history is not calling upon us to be citizen soldiers. It is calling upon us to become citizen activists, every one of us. And you're all here today because you've answered that call. 38 days from now, Americans are going to decide the most important question that's confronted our nation in the last century. I believe that it's nothing less than whether America will become just another failed socialist state, or whether this generation of Americans will restore the unique American principles of individual freedom and limited government that produced the most prosperous and successful republic in the history of civilization. What we're seeing across the country is something that the Obama left doesn't understand and cannot possibly comprehend. It's called the American spirit, and it's back. Woo! it's right here at rallies all across America. It's happened every time our freedom's been threatened, and it's now returned in our own time. Just remember that the debates in the Capitol are simply a reflection of a much larger debate that's going on across our country at coffee shops and town hall meetings, over backyard fences and family dinner tables. And it is that debate that will determine the fate of our nation for generations to come. Many times a day I'm asked a simple question by folks who've never been involved in politics, who've never attended a public meeting, but who sense their country's in danger and who are rising to meet that danger. And then the question is, what can I do? There's only one answer to that question. It was first given by the great abolition leader Frederick Douglass to a young protege who posed that question to him. Douglass answered with 3 words. He said, agitate, agitate, agitate. That's the only way to meet the danger to our freedom that's sprung up amongst us, and that is to rally our friends and neighbors and fellow citizens. And that means taking an active role every day in the historic public debate that's raging around us. Please, every day, do one thing at least to connect with your fellow citizens on these issues. Stand up at every public meeting you can get to and speak out. Attend town hall meetings. Call into talk shows. Write letters to the editor. Leave comments after the articles that you read online. Email your friends, link to information, post on blogs and Facebook and Twitter. Support candidates and causes, agitate, agitate, and agitate in every form you can find. Most importantly, we've got to elect candidates that we can trust never to tolerate in the least the violation of our Constitution and our natural rights that our Constitution guards. That means very carefully looking at the candidates on the ballot that are coming up in 38 days, and to support those candidates with everything that you can. I want to mention a very important election that's going on in our district right now, where there's a proven leader in defense of our constitutional rights who needs our help, Ted Gaines. He's running against a fellow named Roger Nilo for the state Senate seat that was vacated by the death of Dave Cox. Nilo is one of the 6 Republican sellouts who engineered the single biggest tax increase ever imposed by any state in American history. He said it was because of the terrible fiscal condition of the state. Well, guess who voted for the budgets that put the state in its terrible fiscal condition? Roger Nilo. And if he's so eager to tax your earnings, I don't think it's going to take him long to tax your guns, or to take your guns. The Obama left might have supermajorities in both houses. They might have the most left-wing president in the history of our country. They might have the media and the union bosses. But they've lost the American people. Your voices,
Woohoo!
Your voices in every forum that you can find every day have made the difference. And if you'll just keep it up, just keep doing what you're doing today, every day, history guarantees only one outcome. You will have saved our country. Ladies and gentlemen, what's happened to our country's happened on our generation's watch. It is our generation's responsibility to set things right. Our nation's not been struck down by some act of God beyond our power to control. Our nation is being struck down by acts of our own government, and that is fully within our power to control. We've never been more than one election away from making the changes that are necessary to restore our constitutional liberties. The next opportunity comes in 38 days. Are you ready to make the most of every one of those 38 days to restore our Constitution, take back our freedom, and save our country? Well, then let us together write the next chapter of the American Republic. When historians look back on these days 1,000 years from now, let them record that just when it appeared that the principles of American freedom would founder, this generation rediscovered them, rallied to them, revived them, restored them, polished them, and passed them on, shining and inviolate, to the countless generations who followed. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for everything that you do. Now let's take back our country.
Congressman Tom McClintock, and we've had Tom on the Armstrong and Getty show many times over the years, certainly going well back into when he was just in the Capitol down the road here, and we'd have him on the show
when he was lonely in the Capitol.
And I am a cynical man, and we would have him on the show, and I would say, Tom, I just don't think democracy works anymore. I just don't think enough people care. I don't think enough people pay attention. I really don't think so. And he would say, when things get bad enough, people will start paying attention, and you'll see the way a democracy works. And I didn't really believe him. And he has turned out to be right. And I told him when we were standing under the tent, you were right, I was wrong. And it's amazing to see happen. We don't know where this is going, but we do know it's going the right direction as we all start to get together. You feel something happening, and it's something monumental. It's one of the biggest things that's happened in our nation's history. The way people are coming together, people of different political backgrounds, people of different religions, races coming together with just kind of, it couldn't be more grassroots. The way this has started to form, and then people like me who are too cynical to believe that could even happen in the modern era are starting to see, wow, it actually can. We can actually get together, and through, like he just said, writing to your newspaper, calling on talk radio, or showing up to rallies like this, we can actually do something, and it's pretty exciting.
And don't get discouraged when you hear and read those things that we've all heard and read about what we're doing here today and at the Tea Parties about how we're angry or racists or morons or whatever. Just ignore it. The dangerous gun lunatics, too. I know I am. You know, the 50 people at the cocktail party in Manhattan who then go out and write the news and broadcast the TV, the 50 of them, they talk to each other, they believe a certain thing. And the other 300-some million people of us in the so-called flyover areas, we don't really enter into their mathematics. So I don't care if you hear it on every single channel, you read it in every single editorial, that you're something that you're not and we're something that we're not. We know what we are. We know what we believe. And we know what we're doing. Again, do not be discouraged. The momentum, the energy is on our side, clearly on our side. Now, we say some loathsome things, thank you. Well, we say some truly horrifying things about the people in the Capitol building in Sacramento, and virtually all of them deserve every word of it and more. Unfortunately, FCC regulations constrain us from describing them the way they ought to be described. But there are some exceptions. We'd like to introduce one to you right now. He's a good man. Dan Logue, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, how fortunate are we to have an oasis in the desert of the media when we have Armstrong and Getty? Let's give him a big hand. Isn't that great? That is awesome. I'm here to talk about two things. One is California trying to take away your right to bear arms, and the other one is Prop 23. Yes, I'm 23, so I want to discuss those two issues. The last day of session this year was really interesting. They were trying to pass a bill, the Democrats, on the right to carry in the public. It was really interesting because they really thought they had this bill passed in the assembly on the floor, but we'd run out of time, and at midnight, when the clock struck midnight, they couldn't pass any more bills. So what we did, I got another legislator myself.
Tim Macy. Tim?
Thanks a lot. Before I get into what I was going to say, I want to mention that Gun Owners of California, Gun Owners of America, and the National Rifle Association have all joined together to endorse John DeAgostini in his sheriff's race in El Dorado County. Gun Owners of California and Gun Owners of America have also endorsed Scott Jones for sheriff in Sacramento County, and we're hoping the NRA joins us soon. Assemblyman Logue mentioned something that one of the things I was going to talk about just a few minutes ago. One of the bills that they tried to pass this year. In the last 10 years, our legislature along with 2 governors, have passed 11 anti-gun bills. They're not designed to stop criminals, they're designed to stop you and me. This year, the anti-gunners tried to pass AB 1810. That's long gun registration. That's registration where they're going to keep the records of all gun owners in the Department of Justice on every gun you buy. It didn't pass.
Yeah.
Woo!
Last year, they passed handgun ammunition registration. This year, they tried to add all gun ammunition to that registration. It didn't pass. Last year, they banned lead ammunition in parts of Southern California to protect the condor, even though their science is faulty. This year, they tried to cover all of California, and it didn't pass. And like Assemblyman Logue said, this year they tried to ban you from carrying guns openly. They already make it almost impossible for you to carry concealed guns. Now they don't want you to carry guns at all. Luckily for us, our executive director and our chief lobbyist, Sam Paredes, worked with members of the legislature and lobbyists from the ammunition and firearms industries, and they killed every bit of legislation that was introduced this year, and this year was the worst.
Right.
So my website is www.jimcooperforsheriff.com. Please go to it. And also, I'm the only candidate that's put his CCW policy up online. My opponents has not. Got some in the audience. I've got about 24 deputies here from the Sheriff's Department that are endorsing me. When I look at the folks that work the street, 71% of the voting membership voted for me to endorse me as sheriff. My opponent, 18%. So your rank and file men and women that are out there busting their bust to keep you safe, support me. They've seen my record, they know what I can do down there, and I'm a no-nonsense type of guy. And self-protection is a right to have a firearm and protect yourself. Self-protection. We've laid off 45% of our patrol officers, 45% in Sacramento County. Same amount of crime is still going on, but 45% of our patrol officers aren't out there right now. Our response times are not good enough. So you'll have to protect yourself. So I'm tired, enough is enough. Let's change and get rid of this guy and bring in someone new who's going to do it. I've got the experience behind me and the passion to make things work, and also the support of our men and women in law enforcement that believe me from around the region. Thank you very much.
That's Jim Cooper.
Let you all hear what they have to say and make your choice. Scott Jones. Everyone, Scott Jones.
Thank you. Sorry for that static before. My name's Scott Jones. I'm a captain with the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department. And it's true I'm a candidate for the office of sheriff for Sacramento County, but that's not why I'm here today. Now, all of you are interested, many of you know my position on CCWs. It's been consistent throughout this campaign, but I'll here state it briefly before I go on, is I have always had deeply held views about the Second Amendment and the right to carry. I believe Sacramento County should be a shall-issue jurisdiction.
Yes!
I know my opponent, who admittedly his position has been an evolution throughout this campaign. Sounds like he's in the same place as I am. I applaud that. And it does my heart good that no matter who wins, the residents of Sacramento County will be able to protect themselves. My position has earned me an A rating with the Rifle and Pistol Association, as well as an endorsement of the Gun Owners of California. My position on it is not the same as John McGinnis's position on it. There's only one man with his name on the door at this time. After next year, that'll be different. But like I said, that's not why I'm here. I wanted to talk to you. I was invited to speak, to stand here among community leaders and fellow statesmen, speak to a bunch of patriots about the Second Amendment and what it means to me. And long before I studied the Second Amendment, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Magna Carta even, in law school, I had a lot of exposure to the Second Amendment. As a boy, myself, my older brothers were brought out by my dad to a rural area of Los Angeles County where I was raised, and we were taught the power, the history, and the responsibility of firearm ownership and operation. We'd go out there and shoot on a regular basis. And since I've been old enough to think for myself, I've had very, very conservative views on individual and fundamental liberties and against the government, whether state or federal, trying to encroach upon those personally held liberties such as the Second Amendment. And since I've been old enough to vote, I've been a registered Republican with those same conservative views, putting my money where my mouth is, voting on conservative issues ever since I've been 18 years old. Now, as a cop, I get certain privileges that many people don't have. No matter where, no matter when, I can carry a gun. I don't always carry a gun. I'm not carrying one today. But when I need it to feel safe or to keep my family safe, I want to be able to carry a weapon. And if truly it is self-evident that all men are created equal, why shouldn't everybody have that right as well?
Yep.
Another thing I do as an officer, all officers go through a semi-annual qualification period where we have to establish and demonstrate a minimum threshold marksmanship for everyone's safety. And I was out at the range doing my qualification last week. I shot a 98% on my course of fire. And as I was thinking today about what to talk about, gun control, gun rights, fundamental liberties, it occurred to me that gun control to me is working on that other 2%.
Yep.
So as Otis McDonald, son of a sharecropper, grandson of a slave, walked down the United States Supreme Court steps and confidently declared that the last shot of the Civil War had been fired, I think he was wrong. I think that was the first shot of a new Civil War. And there's shots being fired all over the country and indeed all over the state. Shots by Pena, shots by Peruta, shots by Nordyke, shots by OOIDA, and yes, shots by Sykes. And although we aren't dealing with fundamental human freedoms or human dignities like they were in the first Civil War, this is a fundamental right. It's no less a fundamental right that we need to fight for. And as you heard, a common theme throughout all of our speakers today, it's something we have to fight for. It's a civil war, we have to fight, and we have to win. So, I will end here as I began, thanking you with humility for the opportunity to talk a little bit about what the Second Amendment has meant to me throughout my life. I appreciate the patriots that are out here, that are willing, I'll even call them fellow civil warriors, on this issue. And I would implore and encourage everyone to get involved to whatever extent they can, not only in this election, in this campaign for sheriff, but for these rights that are so fundamental to us. Because if we don't fight for them, they will be taken away. So I'll be able to stick around. My website is Jones4, the number 4, jones4sheriff.com. I encourage you to go to it. I've been endorsed by every police chief, John McGinnis, the Bee, the News and Review, all the Republican groups, just about everybody, all the city councils, most of them in Sacramento County. I encourage you to look at who's supporting each of us and what our visions are for the department. But fundamentally today, maintain this right, and what you don't fight for will be taken away. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and God bless.
You can go over there if you want to.
She said that she could go to 45.
Thank you, Scott, very much. Scott Jones. Unless I've been misinformed, I believe that concludes our list of esteemed speakers. So on behalf of Jack, who's even now, there he is. Thank you very much for being here today, Second Amendment Saturday. Thank you very much to the guys from TDS Guns, who the very first time we met them, as businessmen, wouldn't shut up about the Second Amendment. Man, they believe it. And it's not just to enhance business, it's because they get it. They're thinking what you're thinking, they're thinking what we're thinking, and they're really supporters of not only gun rights in America, but rights in general and the Constitution. So our very best wishes. We'll be hanging around if anybody wants to say hello, take a picture or something like that. Absolutely feel free to enjoy TDS Guns. I think you'll find the folks there not only incredibly knowledgeable, but really welcoming too. Maybe you're brand new to the world of gun ownership or gun safety. Talk to them. You're going to like them.
Yeah, and tell your friends about it. You know, if you have friends who think, you know, I kind of like to get a gun, but I don't really know how you go about it or anything like that, man, this is the place to come, TDS Guns. We do appreciate coming out, listening to the Armstrong and Getty Show. Call us when you can, email us or whatever. It's nice to see you all here today. It makes me feel good about the direction things are going. Thank you.
Okay. And that's Zombie Tactics for today. If you want to see America remain America, teach your children. Teach them well. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.